Hello Ice and Fire Nerds, this is Chris, and this is going to be another Game of Thrones video about Season 7 casting, which is usually not my forte, but we did get some interesting news the other day about Jim Broadbent, who has been cast for Season 7 in a role that is described as significant. Could we see Marylin the Mage?
Dracarys.
This is basically going to be an updated version of a video I did a few months ago concerning a major character that we may see in Season 7. This concerns the actor Jim Broadbent, who's going to be playing somebody in Season 7 that before we were basically just speculating about. But according to ScreenCrush.com, who sat down and did an interview with Jim Broadbent, he now kind of reveals what kind of character he's going to be playing. And from this article, which I'll link in the description below, he basically says this: I'm a maester, an archmaester, I'm an old professor character. Now, he did not confirm the name of the actual character, but he also went on to say that he did 5 episodes and had basically a major scene in each of those episodes, and he also did go on to say that he did film scenes with John Bradley, who of course plays Samwell Tarly. So this basically makes me believe that he is in fact going to be playing Marylin the Mage, which is an important character in the books, and this video will explain why. Okay, so this will contain minor book spoilers only because the characters come from the books. But anyway, Jim Broadbent has been cast in Game of Thrones Season 7. The role is described as significant. He's been in movies such as Harry Potter, Gangs of New York, Cloud Atlas, War and Peace, and of course Teletubbies. Anyway, the point being that there are a few characters that he could be playing, and if the role is significant, I'm thinking it could be Marylin the Mage, who would be more significant than the others. But first, let's talk about a few other potential roles he could be playing in Season 7. And the first one of those could be Lord Hightower. Now, this would be Leighton Hightower, who is in the Reach. Now, his daughter, Illyri Florent, is married to Mace Tyrell, and their children are Loras and Marjorie. But at this point, personally, I don't think it's going to be Lord Hightower. He basically lives in seclusion in the books. He hasn't come down out of the Hightower in Old Town in like 10 years, so I don't think this role would be significant. Now, another possibility is that HBO a couple weeks ago released a few casting calls, and they described one as a priest who has moral authority. Now, this casting call could be a little tricky because it may not be an actual priest. They could just describe a maester as a priest, so it could be someone in the Citadel. I mean, think about it. If you didn't know what a maester was and you saw a character on TV walking around in those robes and a chain, you would think some sort of priest or monk or something to that effect. So this could be just something to cover things up about where this character is going to be. I can't think of any role in the show as far as being a priest that would be that significant going forward, since we are in the final 2 seasons and they have to condense things down a lot from the books. Another possibility that I had mentioned in a tweet when somebody asked me who I thought this could be was an older Hallan Reed. Now, this is certainly possible, and it would be significant enough as far as how the role is described, because we do need Hallan Reed to show up and kind of vouch for what Bran has seen in his visions. He's the only one alive left, except for possibly the handmaidens in the Tower of Joy on the show, that knows who Jon Snow is and who his parents really are as far as his lineage. So we do need Hallan Reed to show up. George R.R. Martin has said that he will eventually show up in the books at some point. We've already seen a younger version of Hallan Reed, of course, at the Tower of Joy scene part 1. So this is very possible, but at the same time, him and Ned are described as roughly the same age, so I think he'd be a little too old for a Hallan Reed. But then again, the power of special effects and makeup, it very well could be Hallan Reed showing up at some point in Season 7 to verify who Jon actually is. And that would be fairly significant. Now, of course, with Bran going back and seeing the past and seeing visions, etc., this could really be anybody. It could be some important character in a past event that's significant. So who do I think it is? At this point, if I had to guess based off the information we have, which is very little, I would think this would be Marylin the Mage. Now, Marylin the Mage is an archmaester in the books who is kind of an outsider in the Citadel because he loves to study magic and dragons and stuff like that. And by the way, whoever it is, I do think it's going to be someone in the Citadel that ties into Sam's storyline, because we know that he's got a significant role to play. We know he's got to find out something about the White Walkers, perhaps something about dragons, and I think this could tie Sam's storyline as far as his connection to Jon into Dany's storyline, who's already on her way to Westeros, because in the books, Marylin the Mage does interact with Sam. He's the one who thinks that the Maesters have this conspiracy to get rid of dragons and magic altogether. Now, Marylin the Mage, they call him Marylin the Mage as a slight, and he's earned all his accomplishments, including a ring and a rod made from Valyrian steel, because his specialty of study is the higher arts, the arcane magic, and his area of specialty, Valyrian steel. That's right, Valyrian steel. So I think this is going to be Marylin the Mage. It's going to tie into Sam's storyline. He's got to figure out something about Valyrian steel, perhaps. Now, in the books, Marylin's important because he believes they themselves caused the death of the last dragons. For example, he tells Sam in the books, why do you think Maester Aemon wasted his life away at the wall instead of becoming king? Because of his blood. So it's implied that he thinks that the Citadel and the other Archmaesters don't like Targaryens, don't like magic, and damn sure didn't like dragons. Now, Marylin has traveled the world. He's been to Ashai. He's studied with Shadowbinders. He studied with Warlocks, so he's all about some damn magic, and what has been coming back in our show since season 1? Fucking magic. So I think this would be a perfect character for him to tie into Sam's storyline. Also, not to mention, in the books, after talking to Sam and telling him all this stuff, he actually takes off to go see Dany and wants to become her maester. So I think this will fit perfectly for the show. Now, there's another archmaester in the Citadel called Walgrave, and it's a possibility that he's playing this character, but I don't think so for the sake of the show. Basically, he's just an old man who's already lost his wits. But it's also possible that he could play some combination of characters, because you know in the show they like to kind of combine characters. So this character, of course, on the show could be some kind of, well, maester sandwich that kind of includes a little bit of Marwyn, a little bit of Walgrave, etc. But personally, I think it probably will be Marwyn outright, because Archmaester Walgrave, in my opinion, is really not significant enough. But Marwyn is. We did hear Sam say a couple times in our story,
I always wanted to be a wizard.
We could have Marwyn teaching Sam some things about magic, about White Walkers, about Valyrian steel. So yeah, if I had to take a guess right now, I think this is going to be Marwyn the Mage tied in with Sam's storyline in the Citadel. I think it fits perfectly for the show, especially being condensed as it is already, because he is aware of magic, he believes in magic, he studies magic, he's an expert in magic, and Valyrian steel for that matter, and Sam, of course, is going to have to learn something about the Long Night, the White Walkers, perhaps Valyrian steel, Dragonglass, the history of the Long Night, and this could tie into Dany's storyline as well, although in the show she's already on her way to Westeros. Marwyn would likely already be aware of this, and this could tie into Jon's storyline, because Sam could learn a thing or two, learn about Dany and the dragons being on their way, and send a raven to Jon in Winterfell and let him know, you know what, we got some dragons coming, we got a Targaryen coming to take over Westeros, but that's the perfect thing you need to fight White Walkers. And of course, Sam himself could learn a few things from Marwyn, and Sam could become that wizard he's always wanted to be.
You're like a wizard.
So anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Who do you think that Jim Broadbent is going to be playing in Game of Thrones Season 7? And remember, this is a condensed season, Season 7 and 8. They're going to be shorter, although apparently the episodes might be a bit longer, so we might not be actually losing that much time. We're getting pretty close to the damn end, which is both awesome and sad at the same time. So anyway, guys, as usual, thank you for all the support. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.